Welcome. Welcome YouTube people who are watching this. No one knows we're live yet. I gotta go push the information to the internet.
YouTube.
Twitch. Yeah, well, we're watching this later on YouTube.
Oh yeah, and
They're
YouTube.
they're
Twitch
usually
and
the
YouTube.
yeah.
Yes.
You're the
Hello.
ones that suffer because we like fucking twiddle our thumbs
Hi.
getting things set up. Couch tomatoes.
How does one twiddle their thumbs like this?
Like this in circles usually, I would think, like around each other. But twiddle meant like twirl around, right? Change direction. Like that, like the magic card twiddles, tap or untap, land, creature or other permanent. I think whatever. Tap or untap a permanent. I think it's all it says now. Twitch streams, film, cinema, podcast. Okay. Tweet. Excellent. All right. So yeah. Right. So first up, we watched a bunch of movies this week, and we missed last week, but like, we're gonna watch 2 movies last week because I was exhausted, and I couldn't make it past midnight. It's funny, all through that last movie. I don't remember what we were watching all through that last movie though. I was doing this. Nope, stay awake. Nope, stay awake. Cause like, and then like it's funny. We were watching movies last week, and like, the first movie had me doing that. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have a problem, right? And then I hit my second win, and I was all right. What?
What was the last movie we watched?
I will let you know right now.
Because I'm telling you, I remember having the same experience, not really being tired.
We just watched
being
Spookies.
Incredibly bored by it. Like
Spookies which was making me fall asleep. By the way, it wasn't Spookies making me fall asleep. I was just too tired. And then we watched Suspiria, but I was wide awake for Suspiria, so I don't. It's one of those things. But like the movie I was specifically talking about was Army of the Dead. I kept doing this during it.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. But I mean, I followed the movie. I kept like trying to like fight the sleep. And then after we were done with the movie, I was like, I hit my second wind or third wind or fifth wind or something, and I was good to go.
Well, I think actually it was the MST3K episode, The Beast of Hollow Mount. That one was the one where I was just like, Jesus, this is dull. There were some pretty good jokes in it. And you really loved that episode. And I was like...
The jokes got me. It wasn't the episode itself. It was the jokes that got me. And I was way...
I really enjoyed the jokes in the past few episodes.
We're watching this. It's 11 p.m. And I am so fucking baked, I can't even see my toes. I'm just like... I was like this just... And I'm watching the movie, and then Jonah or one of the bots will say something, and it just got me right. It just hit me right in the gut. And I started laughing. The show was made by stoners for stoners. It's like, you know. But yeah, there's some really fucking amazing jokes in that. But overall, Beast of Hollow Mountain's boring. I know that's why I sold it. Because I've even saying, why did I sell it? This is a weird western. We don't get a lot of those. I'm like, oh yeah, it's boring. I forgot. And the movie doesn't. But the Beast doesn't show up in the last 15 till the last 15 minutes.
And then
it's
the Beast is for some reason. I don't want to give it away, but yeah.
I mean, the Beast itself is pretty cool. It is the best part.
It is cool.
For like, it's the highlight.
It is the best part, but it's also just like, wait, within the concept of the story, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But whatever, not big deal. Neither does fucking Cowboys versus Aliens. I like that movie.
That movie's awesome. Totally underrated, by the way.
But that one's like action packed. This one is just really slow.
It takes a slow burn approach of like, there's some killings happening, and they're like, oh, it's got to be something big and vicious.
Because everybody loves a slow burn, weird western.
Well, there's a right way to do it, and that was not the right way to do it, to be fair. Let's see here. I can't remember what the fuck I watched. So I'll just pull out the notebook where I keep such notes. Let's see here. Last week, Army of the Dead. Nope, it's after that. Yeah, Avalanche, MST3K episode. I remember being...
You did not like that one.
I gave the episode a 9 out of 10, but the movie's fucking boring as shit. Like
The
it's like
episode was very good. Yeah, the movie
the
is.
laughing parts where they made me laugh was great. The movie itself was really goddamn dull. I don't think
I
some movies I'm like I want to see that without the MST3K, and some I'm like no, this is a no.
I don't know if I'd ever buy or watch that without the MST3K
Yeah,
version,
same.
but I do have to say, like, I went into it thinking it's got Rock Hudson and Mia Farrow. How could it be that bad?
Oops.
Well, there you go.
It's from like 1999. No, it's the wrong movie. It's from 1978. I think it's a TV movie too. So it's like
Yeah. I will say I don't think Mia Farrow did a bad job.
no.
She's probably the best part of the
I don't
movie,
think the
honestly.
actors did a bad job. I think it was
Rock
just a
Hudson,
dull script. God.
I think Rock Hudson comes from that school of actors that was like just before the the newer age acting
Like
where
the
they're method acting and
yeah and
stuff
stuff
like
like
that,
that. Yeah, yeah.
So
He's definitely Rock Hudson's definitely a I'm playing Rock Hudson as his character type actor.
yeah.
Like Keanu Reeves as an example.
And the problem
Keanu
with
Reeves
that
is
kind
just
of
Keanu
acting
Reeves in
is
all
that
those movies. I mean, you like to
the
see
problem
him,
with that
but
kind of acting is that sometimes it
Nick
works
Cage too.
and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I feel like, sadly, with Rock Hudson, it's like his whole thing is being like a guy who has sex appeal throughout the 50s and whatnot, right? He's the
28 years
romantic
later.
love interest in all these fucking movies. So that's what he tries to be in this movie 20 something years later. And it's like, it doesn't work. You're no longer sexy. I'm sorry to say it. You're not.
Well, to me or you, someone thinks that's hot.
Yeah, maybe, I guess.
I'm sure someone finds hot. There's someone who thinks everything's hot.
True.
Then we watched Spookies, the last drive-in edition. Man, that movie was a stinker. I'd like to see it with an audience, but I don't think it's like I don't know if I want to watch it alone again.
I'm thinking to myself, do I really? I got this Blu-ray sight unseen. I have the fucking Blu-ray, and now I'm thinking, maybe I should sell that. Not very good.
You give it the slipcover or no?
I didn't get with the slipcover, no.
Fair enough.
Another reason, like, nothing lost. If I wanted it again, I could get the same fucking copy, easily.
Then we watched Suspiria from 2018.
Suspiria was a really fucking good movie, in my opinion. I honestly don't know whether or not to say. I want to say it's at least on the same par of quality as the original Suspiria. It's different.
It's very different.
But it's
very different. The only thing here is the ballet, the witches,
just as high quality.
Some candy color coating, but not even that. It's just a little bit. It's like a splash here and there.
Well, the thing is, it's like it's in some ways a love letter to the original, but in other ways, it's taking a completely different approach to the original. Like in terms of just the story, but like the cinematography and all that stuff.
My honest opinion,
the mise en scène, if you will.
My honest opinion is, if I wanted to watch this kind of movie, I'd probably watch Black Swan. I like this movie, 8 out of 10. I love Black Swan. But I feel like I'll rewatch Black Swan before I watch the Suspiria remake.
I feel like they'd go well together. I don't know.
Absolutely.
If I would say I'd watch one over the other.
That'd be a great double bill, actually.
Yeah. I really love how what's her face? It's a name I can't ever fucking remember. Tilda Swinton plays 3 different roles in this movie, and one of them I didn't know until well after I had originally seen it, which was about a year ago. And when I found out the role she played, I was like, what? I had no fucking clue. No fucking clue. And I go back and look at him like, holy shit. Holy fucking shit. It's not just a really, really good makeup job. It's not just that. It's also, she's an amazing actor. Mm-hmm. She's such a good actor.
All the acting she does.
Yeah. And like 2 of the characters that she plays in this movie, you wouldn't necessarily expect that to be her, right? If you were to be told that was her, you wouldn't realize it at first, and you wouldn't think of it, right? Which says a lot about not only her acting ability, but the makeup effects in the movie, which are fucking fantastic.
Yes, they were. I
There's a
mean,
lot of,
it's
there's
a
also, it's
great
not just
movie.
that though.
You know,
It's
great
the,
story.
if you look at like the bruising effects of all the body horror in the movie, there's a lot of it.
Oh yeah.
Those are really effective, good bruises that they have.
The makeup effects are amazing. The score's really amazing.
Yeah.
The lighting's really good. It's nothing like Argento's, but it's its own character.
That's the thing, yeah.
I don't think it has to be anything like Argento's lighting, but I think
it's true.
I think that was such a big part of the original
exactly.
So,
that's
like,
the thing
like
that really drew me to the
missing.
original movie. So
I feel like it is missing here. Like it feels like it should be here, but
right?
I can
if
understand
you're
not
do a
doing
loving
it.
homage, it
But,
should
like,
be there. But
there's a few splashes here and there as an homage, but like
yeah.
But it's like it's not like the first movie, not at all.
But I really liked it. I honestly kind of want to at some point watch both of them back to back and
Suspiria and
see
Suspiria?
if I can pick one. Yeah, see if I can pick one that I like better than the other.
I mean,
because I don't know.
We can since we're only doing a small review here, we could do a revisit at some point and do an actual full review.
Yeah, I need to dig my copy out.
Yeah, at some point you have to rush, obviously.
I have the 4K.
Next, we watch Hunt for the Skinwalker, which is another documentary by what's his face, whose name I've now forgotten because he's that important to me. Whoa, G-Force experience, go away. Why are we up? Wow, that's so weird.
Go away, G-Force.
Hunt for the Skinwalker. Oh yeah, Jeremy Corbell. That's his name. We previously talked about
himself a little bit too much.
We previously talked about him and Bob Lazar, and we had previously seen Patient 17 about alien surgeons. So he's done 3 movies about paranormal things because a lot of Hunt for Skinwalker is all over the place. First of all, and a lot of it's about UFOs and not about like the supernatural shit that's happening there. I was surprised at how much UFO shit was in there over, say, the supernatural events. That's my own, and of course, he likes himself a bit too much, so he's a bit too much in this movie.
What's interesting to me is how much he is in the movie, considering that I would say fully half the movie is footage from another filmmaker, from another person.
Oh yes,
entirely.
Because he recovers footage. He gets footage from what's his face. Shit, I closed the window because I'm smart. I'm a smart girl. Don't mind me. From George Knapp, who's an actual legit dude. Oh my god, he did a movie called The Phenomena.
George Knapp shoots things in a traditional documentarian style. I would say almost like the kind of way that they shoot special interest stories for the news. That's kind of the way he does it. Maybe a little bit better. He's an
investigative journalist specifically.
Yeah.
His own words. So.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think it's very telling that I didn't actually have any problem with his footage. I actually liked his footage. I found it very informative and very interesting. But then when we get to the stuff that the other guy did, the actual guy behind this movie,
Jeremy Corbell.
Jeremy Corbell, yeah. When we get to that stuff, it's long-winded, never gets to the point, never really says whether something is happening or isn't happening. You decide.
Yeah. And of course, I'd like to point out the same problem with Bob Lazar with the overtrite voiceover is still present, except he didn't have the money to get fucking Mickey Rourke because this is before whatever, his previous documentary, and so he doesn't have a budget here, and so it's just him reading the fucking voiceover, and it's not as good as, say, Anyway, it's just one of those things.
I had never heard of Skinwalker Ranch. I had heard of the Skinwalker. I had no idea what it was. The concept behind it was.
Like I've heard a bit of it. My parents watched the HBO shows. Like I come through the living room, and living room and hear some of it here and there. So I'm not like ignorant to Skinwalker Ranch itself. But as a documentary, I feel like this feels it's weird. It's almost like it. It almost feels like a found footage film. The way it's like bookended with all these pieces of other footage from another filmmaker. You know. It's definitely a cash. It definitely feels like a cash in though. It feels like a cash in. Because, like, he's just using this guy's footage because he didn't want to make his own movie. That's what it feels like. Probably not that. He probably just keeps finding better footage with Nap's parts than his own parts, which is fine. Next, the star of the show, Super Mario Brothers. The Morton Jankel cut. So we're going to talk about this in depth.
For those who don't know, a Super Mario Brothers super fan of the original movie. I don't know how they came up with the extra footage, but they found the extra footage.
So there was they had the director's cut footage, like a work print. They had a work print, which is really common. Is during filmmaking, you assemble the footage all in chronological order, right? And then you make a work print and you screen that with like the studio heads or whatever. And back then, you just used a fucking VHS because it was easy. It didn't matter, right? They're just trying to observe the movie. Doesn't matter. That's kind of quality. And so someone found one of those VHSs, or Morton Jankel supplied a VHS. I'm not entirely sure. And then an extensive restoration process was done in which they integrated it with a VHS release of Super Mario Brothers. Now the next step is they're up-resing the footage, and they're actually going to integrate it into a Blu-ray eventually, Blu-ray footage. So we might actually see this in HD at some point. But the movie starts out with some additional footage of the instead of like the voiceover telling you about the what's happening, it basically just shows you with like a little animatronic, little stop motion puppets and like I don't know. It's definitely less explicit in the beginning here. You had something to say about it. We were talking before we went live, so repeat that, please.
Okay, so in the original movie, if you've seen the movie before, and I do mean like at least a few times, like I had in the '90s a lot because I was, a kid in the '90s, and I watched that movie a lot because it was on.
I genuinely love this movie as a cyberpunk film.
Me too. We can get into that in a second, but the intro to the movie, you got a guy with like a heavy Brooklyn Bob Hoskins as Mario, but it's almost like it was potentially intended to be Bob Hoskins. I don't know who it is that's doing the voiceover. But they have a very heavy Brooklyn accent, and they're talking about how things came to be in this story.
How did this
breaking it all down?
Yeah, how did this other world begin?
It's interesting like a little position moment.
Interesting to note, there is some very important addition here at the very beginning of the movie, in which we see a flashback of Koopa getting Peach, like stealing Peach as a baby. Oh, sorry, Daisy as a baby. Excuse me, I forgot the name of Daisy in this. And then
I don't remember that.
But like, then there's a moment like he's observing New York, and that's where he gets the idea for his own place, whatever it's called. I can't remember what it's called because brain's too high. But like, that's not in the original movie, not completely, and so it's interesting that that's here. So I just thought that was really cool. The addition of showing that he was inspired by New York to build his own town similar.
Well, yeah, but it's only like a really short scene, and it's really hard to pull that from that. You know what I mean? Like, you could. It's a stretch to say that. I think it's a stretch.
Actually, because the book novelization actually mentions, which means it's the also mentioned. So it's totally supposed to be there. Is it super clear? No, that's probably why they deleted that part. You know what I mean?
If you had novelization of the movie, you never would have known, if that had been left in the movie, that from the literally like 2 seconds you see him looking around New York.
Yeah, he's looking around New York. I'm looking right now.
That he would. That's where he gets the idea. I think there's another scene in the movie that kind of makes that more clear. But
yes, there is, and I think that's
yeah.
also part of the excised footage. I'm not mistaken. So when excised footage comes up, they bring up a time code. For the most part, but the time code goes away. It's not for the whole time. So,
do I think that was a necessary thing that they should have left in the movie? Not really. I think it was right to cut that out.
I don't know.
Added anything, people wouldn't have been able to. 99% of audiences would not have been able to figure out that meant something, you know. So,
and then the nuns opening. Is the nuns receiving the Koopa egg a thing in the movie? It's been a while, like I said. Yeah. We watched it together last couple of years ago, if I remember correctly, but it's been like 5 years easily.
Originally, yeah.
Okay, I just couldn't remember if that was actually in the original movie or not.
I'll say fully for like the first half hour of the movie. Most of the additional scenes are literally just like they cut off a little bit from the initial scene that was running too long anyways, right? So it's like they're adding this back in, but it doesn't need to be added back in because it's literally just was cut off for time.
It's called
because it was uncomfortably long.
Yes. It's trimming the scene down for pacing, right?
Yeah.
And then there are little things like the reaction shot of Luigi twice, and then like a few other little bits of Mario in the apartment when he's walking around. That in the theatrical cut works just fine when they cut the way they cut, and
Yeah.
It's not like it's one continuous shot or anything, so it's like it's pretty good. But like then there was
that one scene though in the first 30 minutes. There's one scene that I think definitely should be back in the movie if they ever did another print, which they never will. But there's a scene with the Scapelli brothers, the actual Scapelli brother, like the about to. Do you mean you want me to hold off on it?
I'm double checking to make sure there's not something relevant beforehand. No,
I don't think there's anything else that's relevant.
I think the Scapelli brothers are right here. Yeah, there's the Scapelli brothers. They arrive at a job site and the Scapelli brothers are already there.
That's plumber Scapelli brothers.
Yeah, and the Scapelli brothers are like, oh yeah, they're like Goombas in the movie or something, right?
No.
And that aren't they like aren't those characters something else in the Mushroom Kingdom? I can't remember. Anyway,
they might be mirrored by Goombas. Other.
So yeah, this is an added scene where you see their interaction. You can see that there's like a contentious relationship. The Scapelli brothers are dickheads, and then
yeah, it's very clear that the Scapelli brothers, so named because it's a company owned by Scapelli, who is like running for mayor in the city or something like that, right? Half the town, so to speak, you know.
Sorry, you cut out. You cut out what?
He owns half the town, so to speak. Right. You know how gangsters do in these types of movies, you know.
Yes.
So, owning that plumbing company as a gangster, they can like push the companies who need help with plumbing to accept whatever terms that they're going to give them, and not to work with the Mario Brothers, right?
Right.
So that's what we see in that scene is them kind of like pushing on the business, like, are you going to work with us? Or are you going to work with them? You know?
Yeah, and then and like I can see why they cut this scene because it's pacing, but really it adds a very important element to the movie. I think that is generally it feels like there's a missing information when you're watching the theatrical cut.
Yeah, so, I liked it. I think
it's a nice addition. I think
could be nice. Yeah, it'd be a nice addition to the movie.
Let's see here, and then Scapelli at the talking with Daisy. Skipping ahead, where meet that guy, that weirdo guy. The
weirdo guy.
The guy with the weird haircut and the mustache and beard.
Iggy.
Iggy, is that his name? He becomes a Goomba or something, doesn't he?
No, they're the cousins of Koopa.
Oh, right.
King Koopa's cousins. named after actual bosses from the castles in, I think, Super Mario Brothers 3, but might also be Super Mario World. I think it's Super Mario Brothers 3, though.
It's 3 or World. You're right. Now I'm not sure. You made me doubt it myself now. But yeah, we're introducing them earlier, or in a different way. We're like, instead he's walking down the street, and then they get into a car and start talking. And there's a bunch of like additional footage here of the conversation between them about, I don't remember exactly what. It seemed like that was probably a piece that could have been cut out.
Yeah. There's a lot of extra scenes in
Okay, so I
this
see
movie.
here, there's a shot here where they go from the right of screen to the left of screen. Then it cuts to work print footage, and they arrive at their place going right to left. And it cuts to them facing left to right, so I can see the reason why they probably cut that work print footage. It's like a little scene. They cut that out because it would be confusing. They're already traveling this way, and we don't need to see them arriving twice. So I think that's
Mm-hmm.
what was happening here. And I'm assuming that this other direction was actually extended because I bet you they trimmed off the arriving part on the theatrical piece. Anyway, I'm just making a lot of guesswork here.
I'll say they add a lot of extra sequences uh, in this cut. The Jankel, who is it?
Jankel.
Morton Jankel. Thank you, Jankel. A lot of
Uh,
extra slapstick sequences from
Morton and
Iggy
Jankel are the
and
two directors. Annabelle Jankel, Moroccan Morton, husband and wife,
okay.
who apparently had really poor communication skills.
Yeah.
That they would continually make decisions without asking the other one, and so they would contradict each other all the time. Yeah,
Iggy and Spike. Okay, the one you're thinking of is Spike.
right.
Spike is the one who has the weird haircut. But yes, um, Iggy and Spike play two of the three Stooges basically in this movie.
Bulk and Skull kind
They
of feel
now
right, like Bulk and
they
Skull.
weren't they weren't necessarily that much of
Oh,
like slap. Let me finish my
sorry.
thought,
Yeah, you're fine.
please.
You're fine. Keep going.
So Iggy and Spike play two characters that are kind of slapsticky in this movie, in the original version of the movie, but they add in a lot more scenes that are much more slapstick
Mm-hmm.
that were cut out originally. And I think maybe the studios are saying the kids don't watch those kind of slapstick comedies these days, and they're not wrong, but that's probably why those were cut. And honestly, I don't think it adds anything to the characters. I
There's
think it was better without these slapstick sequences myself.
there are
But
a lot of trims here to the Luigi and Daisy's meet cute, because he seems like to like leader at her a little bit, and those inserts like he's just looking for really uncomfortable along. It's just one person, you don't just stare at a person like, hey, like he's still staring at her. It's still creepy, bro. Stop staring, bro. All right, let me just
hey, you
take.
got that male gaze, okay?
I know, right? I don't think there's anything. Was there anything else that was like major addition? There was Wasn't there a scene that got them to the date? I thought there was a. No,
Nothing new.
I know. I thought there was like a little insert that set this up differently, but I'm wrong. Thinking something else. Oh God, I forgot they like drive in the other car. There's like the date that's happening. There's some additional pieces here. The date. So I'm exiting the building, but it's like I think they're talking about some stuff here. I can't turn the volume up because they'll hear it. Yeah, and it just leads into the them talking after dinner scene, which otherwise it's a big jump. See, that's like little trims like that, or like they trim that, but is that really necessary to trim it? I don't know. It's like 30 seconds, 3 seconds, 3 seconds at least. Like and it helps set up the scene a little bit better. But like I don't know, the movie works fine.
Yeah,
Let's see here. Anything else notable? I could have swore. Was there a thing with the
we
Scapelli
respond without
brothers?
it. Yeah, we already
Mario.
talked about the Scapelli brothers. There were the Scapelli, but they do end up sabotaging the site, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
that happens in the original movie too. There's
Yeah,
nothing
but there's
new.
like little bits in there, but like here, and there's a bunch of editing errors where there's like frame within frames. Yeah. I mean, like, what else are we gonna? What else do you want to talk about this movie? What's next? I mean,
if we continue through the story, well, eventually we do get to the Koopa Kingdom. I think that's
yep.
what they call it, the Koopa Kingdom.
The Mushroom Kingdom.
One of the things I noticed is that in the original movie, or the version that we got, essentially, the currency in the Koopa Kingdom was Koopa coins, right? Now, in this version, the original version, apparently it was coupons. So
right.
Koopons. Coupons.
There are a lot of little bits in this that add a lot of depth to the world that they're in.
Yeah, it makes it seem a lot more disturbing, almost like the Koopa Kingdom is way more fucked up than it was originally in the version that we all saw as kids.
Yeah.
One character in particular, I remember in the original version here, or the Morton Jankel cut. Actually, it's not like an F-bomb, but it's very close to an F-bomb, and it's like anybody who's watching that would know what it's referencing, and it's like, oh my God, I can't believe they put that in this movie, right? No wonder that got cut, right? And it didn't necessarily get cut. It's just that they replaced it with another word, right? Replaced it with another phrase. Yeah.
There is a bunch of like ADR in this too. There are little differences in that. Like we see scenes. Yeah. The thing is, a bunch of times we'll see the scene the same with different dubbing.
Yeah, the character of the old woman who's holding them up. She says in the version everyone's seen, she says, "I need Koopa coins," right?
Right.
But in this version, it's just, "I need coupons,"
right?
Because that's the currency in the Morton Jankel cut. Now, little things like that change. So it's a much darker universe, I would say. It's not like significantly darker, but it's darker. It's noticeably darker in the Morton Jankel cut. And then we get to the Mario Brothers trying to find Daisy, and we see some scenes with Koopa in his tower, in his castle, so to speak. And there's really not much of note added to those scenes.
Is there a Triple X joke here? 1 second.
I think there is at one point, yeah.
I'm looking theatrical cut footage. Yeah,
I don't remember
teenage
exactly
mammal. I was a teenage mammal. Triple X at the Koopa Kino at 7:00 and 9 p.m. There you
go. I wonder if they left that one in though.
That's the theatrical cut. Yeah,
might not have been noticed.
I have theatrical footage. Yeah.
There is a scene between, who is it, Lena? Yeah, Lena, who is like the right-hand man, so to speak, a right-hand woman of King Koopa, and
her amazing immaculate hair.
There's a scene between her and Koopa, and what's really weird is in this cut, they have basically the same scene played out twice in two different ways. I thought to myself, wait, why did they just say the same thing twice? Like, it played through the same line of dialogue twice in two different ways. And the one, I don't know, maybe if it was just that they forgot that they had put the new one in there and didn't take out the old one for the Morton Jankel cut, but it really was the same fucking line of dialogue over and over again twice.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
And
that was a little weird, right?
I will say the second time was the Morton Jankel cut version, and it wasn't as good, honestly, as the original or the one that they kept in there. So
so that's probably why they trimmed it.
That one.
Yeah, they probably showed you both so you could see, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But they didn't do that with any other scene, so I'm like...
It's weird, right? I don't know. Maybe I think that's the only one that had like a major change like that, maybe.
Possibly.
Or it was an error, like you said.
More to explain how, like, there's no clean water in the area, and there's no such thing as soap there. So, like, the only way they can get clean is through using mud. And like, it's exposition that I guess isn't necessarily important, but maybe it adds a little bit to the story. I don't think it's very
Oh,
important.
where's that? Who's that musician? That segment, that musician? You met, you recognized him, didn't you?
You mean Toad?
Yeah, but what you call like? There's like some additional bits with him around his character, which I thought was cool.
Uh, I don't think there was much added there.
And there wasn't like a lot. It was just a lot of little bits. I'm like, why isn't here more? Here more. I'm being arrested. There's some additional footage here where you see like police brutality. I assume they cut out because a weird political message to put in your kids' movie.
Oh yeah. Um, this was in the original version, by the way. This is one of the reasons I actually like this movie, and still to this day think it's like, as I've grown up, I've realized, like, oh, there's some pretty interesting subtextual stuff going on here.
Absolutely.
Because
this is such a great movie.
Because Toad gets arrested just because he's singing a song about how bad the leader King Koopa is.
Mm-hmm.
And the cops explain, it's illegal to sing any propaganda against King Koopa. It's like, now, this movie came out in 1993, which was just 3 years after the Berlin Wall fell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, anti-communism, especially among people who would be making films at the time in their 30s and 40s and whatnot, especially, I imagine, among people like these filmmakers, Morton Jankel and Annabelle Jankel. Just looked it up. The anti-communism sentiment would probably be pretty fucking high at the time. Ultimately, what it comes across as in the film isn't necessarily against communism, I don't think, but more just anti-authoritarianism, which is what Skinslip was telling me all along. I was like, no, there's totally an anti-communism thread through this. It's like, well, maybe technically, but
there's a bunch of
you
more.
really have to dig to try and make that claim, and I just don't feel like making that dig.
There's a bunch of like world building bits here in the prison section where there's all little additional inserts of other inmates and things happening around the prison. So those are really nice. I really like a little bit more. As an artist, I really like those additions because it's telling me more about the world,
Yeah, it's making it look even more I don't know, post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
Yeah.
Clearly, it feels a lot of this.
You mean?
A lot of this movie feels very much inspired by Mad Max, Beyond Thunderdome Mad Max. Not the original Mad Max movies, but the later ones, perhaps, because there's just like these elements of post-apocalyptic content in them that just they very much feel like something you would expect to see in Beyond Thunderdome, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah. I'll get to it later, but there's a moment when they go out into the desert because it's the Koopa world. It's literally just like a couple city blocks and then a vast desert, right?
So late stage capitalism, got it. I have probably post capitalism.
Which is another place though where it's another place though where the element of post-apocalyptic storyline comes in. So
we see them liquefy that guy. That's an additional footage.
Yes.
They show that the Goomba maker can just liquefy you if it's turned on properly.
That is a scene that I think really should movie
because it really cut out. Should what from the movie?
Goddamn internet.
I know.
Okay. It really should be added back into the movie.
Okay.
I hate having to repeat myself.
I know. I hate having to ask you to do it too. but I can't
Anyway,
help it.
it really should be added back into the movie. And I'm glad I got a chance to see it because it's like it really makes it clear that he is really an evil bastard. Like Koopa is really as more evil than he is even depicted as in the original release of the film. So yeah, I that's one scene I was like, yep, that definitely should be back in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
There was a scene like right after that too, where the Mario Brothers end up putting him in the Devo chamber and pushing him into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that scene is extended in this version, so you can see him because in the original version of the movie, you see King Koopa go into the chamber for like a second or two and then come back out, right? But in this version, you see him in that chamber for like a full 15 fucking seconds.
Oh yes, it's
And then his fellow henchmen are like standing by the scientists that he's got the Goebbels around him. Um, they all are like, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Seem kind of a little bit off right now, or something like that." You know, they're all really concerned with him. They're like, and he's like, "Why are you acting like there's such a big problem? I'm fine. Everything's fine. Do I look different? Is something wrong? What there's just this scene where he just is coming to the realization that there's something that changed about him because he was in the de-evolution chamber for a little bit there, and then finally you see him go, "I'll kill those plumbers!"
yeah,
In classic Dennis Hopper style.
full ham.
Who was it you said was supposed to play King Koopa, by the way?
Oh, I don't fucking remember. A bunch of people who have been wild, by the way.
Yeah. Um, I think they made the right choice with Dennis Hopper.
Oh, I agree.
I love Dennis Hopper as King Koopa.
I think the movie would be significantly different with a different character, different actor.
I remember you said that originally they wanted Tom Hanks to play Mario,
Yeah.
right? Can you imagine how wildly different this movie would have been?
It'd been so
And they
weird.
definitely wouldn't have just let it die.
Mm-mm.
I think it would have been more successful if Tom Hanks was in the movie, but I don't think I would have wanted him to be in the movie because Bob Hoskins does a perfectly great job
Mm-hmm.
as Mario in the movie, despite the fact that he's drunk throughout the whole day.
Both him and Leguizamo were both drunk
Yeah,
because they were dealing
yeah,
with the fucking directors and they were stressed out.
yeah.
That's really what happened. They were so like bored with them. Like they were bored, like disinterested because of like the whole situation. So they just got drunk and fucked around.
Which is funny because they still end up to put on a pretty damn good show. They still did a
Oh
pretty
yeah.
good. I'm just wondering now how much of that was ad lib. I would love to have the opportunity to ask them, like, okay, which scenes of these in the movie are ad libbed? You know?
There are some additional bits in this chase sequence when they escape Koopa. I don't know if that. I like that it's extended. I actually think the little added bits are awesome, including a stunt with a car roll that's not in the original movie. So like,
Yeah.
So yeah, we're like an hour into this movie at
It,
this point.
it's another example where like they spent a lot of money on this movie crashing all these cars, and then
The mud bath
there are
sequence.
like there are like 5 or 6 fucking cars that get crashed in this sequence that got cut out of the movie. I'm like,
Oh yeah, yeah, a lot of
that's
money wasted.
thousands and thousands of dollars down the
I
drain.
mean,
Why did you
easily
take it out?
$10,000. I mean,
Oh,
easily.
it's too violent. God damn it!
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
that might have been a censor
I have no
violence,
idea.
but
There's also the mud bath scene is extended with like the lady getting in the mud bath with him, which you don't see in the movie, the original. We see it in the extended cut, but not in the original movie. And it happens right before the Koopa kids come and report to him in the mud bath, and my fucking video froze again.
and they come in and he's like, "Great, now where's the rock?" Rock, sir. and then he puts them in the in the Evo chamber. The
Oh yes, yes. And
Evo
there's some
chamber.
additional bits to
He,
that.
he evolves them.
There's a moment in the Queens with the girls who are captives, like where one of the girls is offering a Koopa a cigarette. I know that was trending, but there's a bunch of character moments, a bunch of little character bits here at the beginning and near the end of the scene, with quite a bit of like stuff at the end here with like
Yeah.
Daisy being called and a Goomba pushing the other lady back, and like it's like a whole shows a little bit more of their captivity.
Mm-hmm.
And they go in the Evo chamber. Can't remember what was added to this. There's a bit added to this. I remember. Yeah, a little bit at the end of the scene when they're talking and Koopa's walking away. Koopa keeps adding more information onto it.
It's just one of those movies that has when Mario saves them at the end, the girls.
Okay, so when he yells at the end of the scene and they run away, there's like a segment, like a 15-second like clip of like some dialogue that was cut out between them running away and him yelling at them. So it's like, anyway.
Between who and
when he yells, as he puts in the Evo chamber and he yells at them to go or whatever.
Oh yeah.
There's like a bit right before he yells at them to go. There's a bit of a new scene, and then it goes to him yelling and then them running away.
Oh yeah. There is a scene where they show some cognizance of like, oh, why are we listening to this guy? Why are we taking him seriously? It's like because they become more intelligent, they finally realize that they have a dictatorial, authoritarian leader, and they're just like, wow, why are we listening to this guy? No. There's a slight moment of that.
There's an added bits here where like Mario and Luigi are roaming the desert in the like tattered clothes with their shirts off and shit.
Very I think Mad those Max are just feel. Slightly different scenes than what they were in the original.
Yes, they're different. They're different. They're basically different versions of the same scene. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd say one is better than the other in this case, but yes, I think that is one of the elements that makes us feel more Mad Max and post-apocalyptic.
Oh, and then like the Koopa kids drive around in this fucking buggy and shit. There's more additional footage of them before you see. Like, there's a bunch of footage that happens before you see them in the theatrical cut of them driving around with that thing and acting like fucking doofuses. More footage of them running around the wasteland. Completely different take on how they run into the brothers. A different take on like, cause like the brothers are like. So cause like the brothers are like a half buried in the ground or whatever because they had a car accident, and that's how the Mario Brothers got an uphold on them. It's kind of weird. It's a little different than this, and then what happens in the theatrical cut. So
I don't know.
Let's see here.
I seem to remember that being the same. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
That's right. Just I'd say like 90% of the stuff is like world building snippets. And about maybe 80%. And then 10% is like character snippets, like little character moments. And then the rest are completely, why did you have this in the movie moments? The strip club. They cut out the strip club sequences. The shots of the strippers dancing sexually. I think I know why.
Well, here's the thing. I would rate that differently entirely.
Okay.
Because I think it was like 60, maybe 60% of the scenes that they added in the Morton Jankel cut were scenes that I think actually add something to the movie in some way. Mm-hmm. And then I would say maybe 20%, no, not even that, like 15% are just like, it's okay to have these added in there. Oh, and then there was like, I would honestly like 25 to 30% of the fucking scenes were just needless additions.
This is my favorite addition to the entire movie. The Koopa kids break out into a singing number in the.
Oh no! Oh no!
I fucking love that. That's so fucking.
Iggy and Spike start rapping.
They start rapping and it's not good, but
it's really,
it's
you
hilarious.
Guys, you're thinking of all the fucking times you've seen in these early '90s kid movies, people start breaking out into a rap, right? And you're thinking,
yeah,
oh, is it as bad as this? It's worse.
There's a
It's
reason why it was
fucking
cut,
worse.
but I think it
Remember,
elevates the movie. It's decent in R.
remember Robin Williams rapping as Batty in Fern Gully? It's better than
I haven't
this.
seen Verona
That's
Gully since
better
the
than
'90s, so
this.
I can't say.
Oh my god.
I think he had a rap in fucking Patch Adams too, didn't he? Didn't he do a little rap in that?
I don't remember.
Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of little segments here. The Meyer brothers are trying to get away by blending with dancers, so they're doing a whole dance number while the rap happens. This whole sequence is like a little different, showed differently in the movie. I mean, it's similar, like, it's got all the parts from the movie, but it's like there's a bunch of stuff around everything you see in the movie in the scene. And so they get the jump boots here. Different take of the Goombas trying to break into the door of that room.
That's also the scene where they like openly call for revolt against the Koopa Kingdom.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh yeah, this anti-authoritarian message is beautiful. And I would love that to be added back in. You can keep, if it's possible to keep out the rap, wonderful. But if you have to add it just to keep the anti-authoritarian message in there, please do so.
There's a completely different take of them going into the elevator with the jump boots and their outfits from the trailer, you know, that moment. And in this case, actually, I think it's from the trailer, and then in the movie, it's a different take.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's happened here. It's like the best part of the movie when they get into their outfits.
And those
a different take on how the Goombas get into the elevator.
Yeah. Those outfits are another thing that make this feel kind of post-apocalyptic, kind of cyberpunk, because you've got this fucking boot that the whole intent of its purpose is to just make you like jump and fly a short distance. It's almost like a rocket pack on your back, right? But it's on your feet.
Yeah.
It's just a weird little piece of tech that like only exists in this other world that's very Mad Max kind of ish.
How do they escape the elevator in the movie? They climb out of the roof, right? Okay, so this like shows them like how they get to that part. Like I feel like it's truncated in the theatrical cut. But yeah, like they lull them to dancing, of course, and they get out.
Yeah. There's a little bit more dancing in this.
And there's a little bit more to how they got out too. It's like a little bit to everything in that scene. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, this Goomba did a full body burn. I forgot about that. That's all cut out of the movie.
Yeah.
By the way, that's cut out because it looks bad because of the way the gear for the puppet like sits on the guy's back. It looks all weird when he catches fire. Anyway.
One other thing they added here that it's at the very end of the movie, actually. If you have seen the movie and you know it like I do, then you know the fucking pizza joke in it, right? King Koopa orders a pizza. Then at some point, eventually, he says, "Where's my pizza?" And another point, there's a guy who calls him on the thing and says, "Your pizza's arrived, sir." And he says, "Not now, right?" But whenever happens to the pizza, right? In this scene that gets added in, you see the pizza guy like drop the fucking pizza on the ground, like he's in the car and he just tosses it out the fucking window.
What a waste. Oh yeah, I mentioned when we were watching it, the hallways remind me of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journeys hell hallways.
Yes.
But I doubt I think it's just a coincidence. It's just interesting coincidence.
It's possible. It's possible they use the same set.
It's possible. But I don't think they did. There's a bunch of little bits when like Mario and Luigi are like trying to save the girls. Like little bits here and there, little like end and beginning pieces that got trimmed off.
Oh yeah, what I was gonna say about that sequence.
Okay.
Is that sequence? It reminds me of a lot of other movies from the 80s and 90s, made for kids that had all these sequences where it really felt like this was intended to be turned into a ride of some sort, like a
Oh yeah,
amusement park
like the
ride.
mattress down the tube thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and there are so many sequences like that, and the Goonies had a sequence like that. There's so many examples I could think of with movies that really didn't do that well, but had these sequences that are like clearly fucking bait,
Most
right?
of the trims in the sequence feel like they're for pacing. To be,
Yes.
so I'm looking at it right now. I'm watching the sequence. I'm like, yeah, this feels more like they trimmed that and trimmed that to make it go a little quicker. Because we're near
Yeah.
the end. We're in the last 20 minutes of the movie, so it's like they trapped on the pipe. And they got out. There's lots of little Koopa moments, little moments with like Dennis Hopper like acting cool shit. With like little bits. It's like 5-second bits. Something with we see Mario get the idea to use the bob. That part is added to the movie, or it's a different take. I can't remember which. Then he
Are you
figured,
sure?
I'm watching it with a fucking time code.
See, that's the thing. A lot of these things they have
It's probably a
that we're
different take
seeing in
then.
this cut.
Yeah.
They have the time code on it, but I'm like, that's the exact same version as the original movie. I don't know.
I bet you like a different take or something. You put them side by side, you'd see like the difference. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe I don't know.
But yeah, there's little trims here, little bits here, there. It feels like I said, mostly it feels like pacing at this point.
Mm-hmm.
They both get deatomized. They deatomize the Twin Towers, which is a little awkward in modern context, considering they don't exist anymore.
Oh yeah. I was saying, like, I wonder.
Oh my god.
They,
Fucking
what?
Goomba appears into the world by teleporting into a fucking porta potty. A lady runs out. It's great. It's a great fucking gag.
I was saying at the time, I wonder if that's why they haven't really done any newer releases of the movie, or they didn't at least after the initial DVD
Oh
release
yeah,
for a
maybe.
long time in the
Maybe.
States, because it has that image of the two towers.
Yeah. Being destroyed, specifically. Like
Well,
I think it's because it's being
Rundown.
destroyed. Just seeing the Twin Towers won't matter. It's just the scene where there's a plot point where it gets destroyed. You know, that's like, yeah, I can see why they've been reticent. So I like to note that the de-evolution gun is a fucking Nintendo Super Scope, by the way.
Yes.
And they also have the other guns are Nintendo blaster guns.
You say destroyed, but I'm like, okay, one of the towers is like halfway built, and the other one is just darker.
They're both blackened.
Brooded. Yeah.
But yeah, I imagine they're both destroyed in some degree. All right, back in fucking Koopa Land, some additional character snippets. Koopa gets turned into a King Koopa, this like lizard face. Gets turned into a fucking lizard, and then and then they fucking he gets turned into a goddamn dinosaur. I forgot about that. And we just watched this movie and I forgot about that, by the way. And I've seen this movie a dozen times and I forget about the goddamn part where he turns into a dinosaur and then the ooze.
It's nothing new.
Nope. No. I just forgot about that. That's all I'm saying. Most of the stuff here is just little bits, little trims here and there. In fact, I would say the vast majority of the stuff is trims.
So, like, I get why some people don't like it. If you're a fan of Mario Brothers, and one of the elements of the story is that he de-evolved the original king of the kingdom, Daisy's father. He de-evolved him into the fungus that was taking over, which of course the fungus has the mushroom, and
right.
The fungus provides the bomb and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, why? The thing that I noticed here, by the way, when he evolves back into the king after Koopa goes away or gets turned into sludge, somehow miraculously he just immediately evolves back into the king. which is odd because it's like, wouldn't you have to put him back into into the evolution chamber or at least point a evolution gun at him, a de-evolution gun, right?
All right.
But they didn't do that. They didn't do that at all. By the way, the king is played by Lance Henriksen. But if you're one of those people who are critical of this movie because it's not like the original Mario Brothers, I understand that because it's not necessarily like the original Mario Brothers.
Ended up being its own thing.
And the king, played by Lance Henriksen, I just saw this on the IMDb page, is King Bowser.
Oh,
that's supposed to be King Bowser, which makes no sense at all. I understand you're like, but that doesn't fit anything we know about the fucking game. I get it. I understand. It's more got references to Mario Brothers than it is like a recreation of the story of Mario Brothers.
Correct.
And I can understand why people wouldn't necessarily like that as much. But in terms of being a movie that at least has some pretty good references to a video game, I think it's good. I just think like maybe it shouldn't have been called Super Mario Brothers. Maybe the characters shouldn't have been named after Super Mario Brother characters. Maybe you just should have had certain elements in it that kind of reminded people of the Mario Brothers. But I mean, I genuinely get the feeling like this was a script that they were working on
the Morton Jankel specifically.
Yeah, before they came up with or got the call to do the Super Mario Brothers movie, right? And they're like, well, we'll just take this script and Mario Brothers.
They rewrote it and added a bunch of Mario Brothers stuff. And
that's what it feels like. They
probably changed the beginning of their script to meet Mario Brothers, and they they added a bunch of new scenes fit the Mario Brothers. Mostly, I bet you it did evolve from a non-related script, just like half of Hellraiser sequels.
So,
which is not an exaggeration.
Reasons to love this movie, even though they're drunk. Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo are fucking amazing.
That's how good of the actor Bob Hoskins was. Even pissed drunk, he's better than most people on this planet.
Dennis Hopper in his roles in the 90s was just fucking top tier Dennis Hopper.
My favorite character in Land of the Dead is Dennis Hopper. So a movie will.
I also liked Iggy and Spike. One of whom is Fisher Stevens.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
He's from Hackers and a bunch of other stuff.
Of course, as the king, but only for a few moments. You can't really say anything really positive. Yeah, it's a cameo. You can't say anything really positive about his role.
He got a good paycheck to sit there and look pretty.
Yeah, exactly.
And he looks good in that fucking outfit. Don't get me wrong. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a really great cast.
As the king.
The script isn't bad, but actually feels bad is the rewrite stuff. Like, there's, like, bits of it, you're like, oh, this is pretty good stuff. And then, like, there's, like, this forced Mario reference shit. And you're like, oh, okay. This is not as good. This is the rewrite that he did. Okay.
It's a really cool concept.
So it feels like. I have no idea.
For a science fiction movie.
I have no idea. Yeah, I like the idea. I'd like to see a remake of this movie devoid of the Super Mario Bros. References. I bet you'd go for, like, gangbusters.
I just want to know where my fucking sequel is. I was promised a sequel.
Imagine you make this great movie, right? It's like the same as a remake of this Super Mario Brothers, but without anyone called anything from the Mario Brothers movies. But you still had the elevator scene where you see them in the outfits. Like, the crowd would be like, "What? They're referencing Mario Brothers!" Like, that's awesome. But the only Mario Brothers reference you have in the entire movie is the reference to the elevator scene, which is my favorite part. My favorite scene in the entire movie is the getting the Goombas to start dancing and sneaking between them. Yeah. Sneaking over them, I mean, via the hatch.
The music, by the way. The music was done by Alan Silvestri.
Yes, it was. You know, we talked over an hour about Super Mario Brothers.
Amazing. Well, hold on.
Hour and 4 minutes we've been live.
But we've been talking about other movies, too. We talked like 45
minutes on Super Mario Brothers, the extended cut. To be fair, we try to keep it around the extended stuff. All right, next we did a new favorite movie of mine. My friend, Violet. I was trying to remember her fucking name. Not because it's just a different name than what her real name is. So my friend was like, "This is my favorite movie. Oh my god!" And she's like talked to the director several times, and I've gotten information about this movie. So it's Bulgarian. I'm gonna look that up. Romanian. Where is it? Sorry. And we're just gonna talk about this movie. We're not gonna like go beat by beat in this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, why don't you show me your thoughts on this while I try to find this fucking bit of trivia.
We're all good here, Crackerjack. How's it going?
Doing pretty good. Where the fuck are you gonna talk about your thoughts about this movie, or are we gonna just sit and stare at it?
You didn't even mention the title yet.
Oh, right. Sorry. Well, maybe you should say that. Okay. Sorry.
He's waiting.
I got really high. I'm really high. Okay, so we watched a movie. My friend introduced it to me. It's called Be My Cat, a movie for Anne. And the premise is about a guy who is obsessed with Anne Hathaway and wants her to be in his movie and play his cat in that movie. And he's a certified crazy loony person type thing going on.
Yeah, and you get that from the very beginning. Like you're thinking to yourself, "Oh man, this guy's just a really big fan of Hathaway, and he wants her to do his movie." And he's thinking, because he doesn't really understand how the movie industry works, that he can just get her to do his movie if he convinces her, right? And so he's doing this this documentary, so to speak, to try and convince her to do his movie, right? And it's a little awkward at first, and it just gets more and more awkward with time.
Ah, there it is.
And then extremely, extremely unsettlingly creepy.
Yes.
As it continues going on.
It's directed, written, produced, shot by, and starring this one guy, this one director from Romania. Who I don't want to butcher his name, so I want to go look at it real quick, so I don't, because if I read it, I'll be able to at least say it close to his real fucking name.
It is essentially a found footage horror movie.
Adrian Tofei. So it's a Romanian film shot in Romania, obviously, and during this film, there's like some first 40 minutes made me so fucking uncomfortable, and like
I would say like pretty much the whole thing made me uncomfortable.
But the first 40 were the most uncomfortable. But the first 20 minutes, especially because he interacts with this person who's his star, and like that was their first meeting.
Yeah.
And like he's being really weird to her. He meets her out of the cab in character with the camera. And this is why it's like shit you really shouldn't do as a director. You should talk to but apparently he did talk to her for months or weeks via message, email or text message or whatever. So there was a bit of rapport, but I imagine you're like, oh, this guy seems pretty cool. All right, I'm doing a movie. You get there, you're like, what the fuck's happening? So the cops really got called on them because he was acting really weird to her. I don't know if she was the one who in character called him by really calling, or what she was doing in character, or if someone called on them because they heard her or whatever, right? I don't know for sure, but I do know that they had set up a thing where in character they'd speak English and out of character they'd speak Romanian. And I did not know that. And I guess as soon as the cop pulls up, they break into Romanian there. So there's like a minute of like meta-ness where the movie ends and a little piece of documentary happens for a moment while a real life situation unfolds with some cops. So it just adds to the realism of this creepy ass movie.
It is very eerily realistic. That's what makes it feel so unsettling the whole time. It's like this actually looks real. This looks
I was
real, like
convinced
it
for the first
really
20
is
minutes it
happening.
may be real, but like, it's definitely just a movie. But like, that's such good filmmaking. It's such a good found footage film. It's one of the best ones I've seen in a really long fucking time. I mean, like,
Very effective.
it's very effective. And that's what you want with a found footage film. One that's effective, that makes you believe for just a sliver, like, wait, this could be real, though.
And you can watch it for free.
Yeah, it's free on YouTube.
Now, how is that the case? Was it put up by the filmmaker?
He gets the money for it because he's claimed the ads on it. Because he also has a rentable one, too, if you want to pay him money.
So it's like an ad. Okay.
Yes. See, if you want to pay money. See, I didn't pay money for it, so that's why I feel like I should talk about it. So at least give it some... Maybe someone will go rent it and we'll watch it. You should definitely watch it and go watch it. It's good. It's worth your money.
Yeah, support the artist.
If Amazon hadn't just shut down their manufacture on demand service, I would say go buy the DVD, but I guess there's no more in circulation, so it's now rare.
Really? They just bought fucking MGM and they're going to...
They're probably consolidating services. That's why they're shutting it down. That's probably what's happening. They're probably taking that, folding some services together, because MGM has their own manufacturing and all that stuff, so it's like, they're probably like consolidating some stuff.
You got a point, yeah. Makes sense. Hopefully.
Hell yeah. Be My Cat, a movie, a film for Anne. That's what it's called. I give this movie like a solid 9 out of 10. I'm like, it was so fucking good. I was shocked at how effective it was. It genuinely had me unsettled for the whole movie. I was crawling down my skin for the first 35 minutes, 40 minutes. You know, like literally, I just like, oh my god, I almost turned it off. It made me that uncomfortable. But I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't, because this is a really good movie about obsession. And how twisted minds, sick minds, can see the exact opposite of what you're intending them to see, you know? And how that can be interpreted.
Feels so real to me, or felt so real to me, is because we watch all these true crime documentaries, right?
Yes.
And, actual criminals and how they behave. And this fucking movie, he gets the character of one of these types of people dead fucking on.
100%.
It is almost, it's like a fucking character study.
Someone I never want to meet in the street.
People who are actual sociopaths, you know?
Let's see
so,
here. Do we see anything else? Oh yeah, you cannot kill David Arquette. That's the last thing we have to talk about. This is a documentary about David Arquette getting back into wrestling. See, he was in a movie called Ready to Rumble in 1999, 2000, I think. And it's about, these two doofuses who go and enter into wrestling. But it posits that wrestling is like real to some degree. Anyway, in actual wrestling storyline, Vince dogshit riding Russo wrote that David Arquette would win the world title. A guy who doesn't even know how to wrestle. He's never been trained. He got some training while doing this, of course, but like, he enjoyed the experience of wrestling for the most part, and so like for years now, he's been wanting to get back into it, and he chose in 2019 to do that. So, and I'd say after seeing a few of his matches, he's a pretty damn good wrestler. But, do you have any thoughts about this movie?
Well, we get to see his journey back to wrestling and how for a very long while there, no wrestling fans really respected him.
Most people still don't.
And that's because of the way that he gained notoriety in the wrestling world.
Hey, thanks Cracker Jack for the subscription. Big love, buddy.
Sweet. Thank you. So a lot of people had the problem with the way that he became notable and the way that he won the belt initially. And I could understand that. But I also definitely felt bad for him as the documentary starts, because he clearly just wants to be like loved and accepted. He
wants to be respected. Not necessarily respected. Like, you can hate some dude on a personal level, but respect him on a professional. He wants to be respected as a wrestler instead of just being a joke to wrestling. He wanted to do something more, and I think in a small part he wants to be the champion of like an organization somewhere. And I have no doubt. I actually have no doubt that if 2020 hadn't killed the wrestling business for a short while, David Arquette would have continued rising, and we probably would have seen him in AEW, like in as like doing a match, like Cody Rhodes or something. And we'd all be oohing on about how an amazing wrestler he is. But he hasn't got enough experience on the indie scene to like get to that point. I would love to see that personally, but I'm probably the only one. No. I by the way, I was one of those fans who hated on him for being that, but that wasn't his fault. That was Vince Russo's fault. He's the fucker who wrote that shit. I mean, like, when you have to be a terrible person if someone says, I will outlive you, it's just so I can piss on your grave. And spite is a hell of a motivator. Well, I'm not going to credit that quote. He deserves to get his shit ripped off. But there's a man who hates Vince Russo more than almost anybody else on this planet. And I hope he gets his wish and pees on that grave, even though I don't like him. I don't like either of them. But at least JC, who I'm talking about, at least knows what the fuck he's talking about when it comes to wrestling. Which is why I am. Anyway, I would love to see David Arquette like do a full return to wrestling.
That'd be cool.
Like, I would love to see him to show up and have like a featured match on like AEW Dark or something, or NWA, or probably not NWA. I wouldn't do that, but or like Ring of Honor or Impact. I mean, it feels like a very Impact thing to do, but like, not to disparage Impact, but like, you know, or I could see him doing like the United Wrestling Network with the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood or Arizona or Houston or wherever they want to put him, you know, and have him wrestle somebody. Because he did a match for JCW in 2019 with Nick Gage. He almost died in. We saw it. I watched it live. I didn't realize he was that injured until we watched the documentary, and he like was gushing blood out of his neck. But I saw it live, and he was like, you see, so he gets stabbed in the neck by mistake, right? Like, bad mistake. And so he steps out of the ring, and he's like trying to think, he's like, okay, and he realizes he can't get his respect unless he gets back in the fucking ring and finishes the match like it's scripted. So he gets back in, and so he got to take it home. He gets fucking, the finishing move gets put on him, he gets pinned, he gets fuck out. And then he goes to the hospital. And that's when you see, like, the blood gush out of his neck and shit. And when I was watching it live, I just saw him do that, get pinned, and leave. And so, I don't know, I thought, like, he was about to cry. But I didn't realize it was because he's about to die. A little different. So, like, for me, watching the documentary enlightened an entire thing I was watching before the pandemic, so. Oh, I mean, I haven't watched, I haven't watched WWE because, since about 4 or 5 years now. 3 years now, maybe. 4 years. 3 or 4 years, actually. And so, I haven't been interested in wrestling until AEW started. And there was, like, good writing and, like, good characters for the most part. There's been some flaws. It's not perfect. But I've always loved wrestling, so. Watching the documentary was really, really nice. Yeah. You actually see them, like, scripting a match. Which is something you don't... Which, I'd like to point out, I don't think it's ever been captured for a documentary before. Watching the wrestlers go hip toss, flip, but jump, and like they're going through the sequences together, and the camera's filming, and I've always wanted to see that stuff. That's the stuff they even hid from me when I was in the backstage stuff and the indie stuff. So it's like, it's interesting.
It's very interesting.
So yeah,
and I would like to say though that I was one of those people that actually liked his movie Ready to Rumble.
Oh boy, I saw it in theaters, but I don't know if I'd say I liked it.
I don't think it's a great movie, but I think it's good.
No,
it's all right. No,
not really. It's not bad. It's okay. Did this split my fucking stream?
I don't know what.
Oh, we only talked. Okay, I see. No, I was confused. I thought that we talked longer than we did. But yeah, are there any movies you want to talk about that you watched in the last 2 weeks?
I'll just say that I watched the new Conjuring movie last night.
Mm-hmm.
The Devil Made Me Do It.
I need to see that.
And It's about as good as all the other ones. I would say it's on par with like The Nun.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I haven't seen that yet either.
it's about as good as all the other ones. It really is starting to feel like a proper series now, where it's like it almost feels like a fucking TV series, where every episode where they're telling a different story.
Mm-hmm.
Of the Lorraine or Ed and Lorraine Warren, the Warrens. I
The
almost said the
Warrens.
Lorraines.
The
The
Warrens.
Warrens, yeah. And in this case, I could see why people would be like, "Oh, there's not as many scares, and
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
it's just not as scary, and it's not as much to do with the supernatural as I prefer." And I'm like, okay, whatever you
Makes me
want to
want to
believe.
scream into a pillow.
Um,
Yes.
it's like I understand you're jaded, but
Why is it the movie's fault?
yeah. Um, irregardless, I hate that that's a word now. Regardless,
I don't
I
even
think
like
it's
using it.
regardless. I think it's a pretty damn good movie. Um, I'd wait until it's on get it for a decent price.
Physical
But
media.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
Uh, the one thing I saw that might be worth watching, and you should definitely check out, Psycho Gorman
I
from
still need to see
2020.
that. Yeah.
Oh my god, this is like such a delightfully dark movie. It's so much fun. There's so much gore and silliness and ridiculous nonsense. And there's a moment where I was just like, oh, these guys are Power Rangers villains or Kamen Rider villains, really. The way they're like these. Oh, I see. This is weird. It's interesting. It's like a dark, twisted take on a Sentai show, or not Sentai, so a Tokusatsu show. It's really fucking good. I'm gonna buy the Blu-ray. It's worth putting in my collection.
Nice.
So, the other thing is, watch out, We're Mad, which is a Terrence Hill and fuck. I'm gonna forget. I'm just gonna go get it real quick. Bud Spencer, I think. It's a Terrence Hill Bud Spencer comedy about these two stunt racers who tie for first for this dune buggy, and then they drive around sharing the dune buggy like good friends, and telling them they're like trying to figure out how they're going to like what kind of contest they're going to like do to see who actually owns the dune buggy, and then gets stolen by some gangsters, and then a bunch of shenanigans. This is actually a 7 out of 10 star movie. This is a lot of fun. There's a lot of like really good visual sight gags here with cars being wrecked and like stunts being done. Bud Spencer and Terrence Hill have an undeniable quality to them that I'd never seen in their movies together before. I'd seen movies that had Bud Spencer and I'd seen movies that had Terrence Hill. So I knew what to expect from them solo, but together, I did not expect this. Like, I literally went to Twitter and said, I wish there was a timeline in which Bud Spencer, Terrence Hill, and Jackie Chan and Sammo Hung did a movie together. Because that's the kind of physical comedy, not as highly scripted as Jackie Chan, but I feel like with Jackie Chan, they could have done some amazing, like, hilarious comedy. Like, such a good movie, I think that would have been. But that's just me fantasy making a movie. But Watch Out We're Mad is on Amazon. Worth your time. A good time waster. You will have fun. 7 out of 10. We'll watch again. We'll buy it on Blu-ray. So, that's it.
I just to respond to Crackerjack here, it says a lot of others were upset it became a court movie. I don't feel like it became a
What
court movie
movie?
at all.
Oh,
Uh,
Conjuring.
the Conjuring, yeah.
I mean, that's been a
If
long-standing
there are
thing
people,
in actually it's been okay. Now it's been a long-standing thing in these possession films and these haunting films that there are court scenes, including the haunting of Audrey Rose. I think we were talking about that
okay,
the whole court segment and that.
I don't know if people are saying that though, because I
Are
don't know
they?
where you got that from. I don't know because that's I'm trying to figure out where you got that from because
I
I
don't know.
don't
Probably some social
like.
media.
Let me put it this way: if I were to cut out every single scene that had anything to do with a courtroom from that movie, it would be 5 minutes shorter. It's really not a significant part of the fucking movie. Somebody might want to think it is, but it's
Interesting.
just because you add the courtroom element to it, ever so slightly, and I felt like they could have gone further with it. And I was actually kind of disappointed, like they didn't show much more of it. They really just show you like first day in court, first moment in court, and then back to the other, and then they cut. They show you all the gathering of the evidence and stuff like that they're trying to gather to save this kid's life, and then at the end they show you like the final day in court. They're about to pass judgment, and they don't even show you what the judgment is. Like they tell you what happened, but like they don't show that part of the courtroom drama, so to speak, right? There's so much of the courtroom drama in this movie that's not actually there. It's just, implied. So I wouldn't even say there's really much of that in the movie.
Fair. Have you seen Deliver Us from Evil from 2014?
I think so.
We should probably. I feel like we should watch that because I gave it 5 out of 10. But like, I don't know. There's something about it. I just keep going back to it in my brain. I feel like watching it with you and being able to talk about it might be
the scene in the car.
Huh?
Yeah.
Talking about Conjuring again. You're talking about Deliver Us from Evil.
No, Deliver Us from Evil. I could have sworn there was a scene in a car in Deliver Us from Evil.
Probably was, but like I said, I remember not liking it that much, but then I keep thinking about I should see it because it feels like I missed something, right? Because other people said they really liked it, and I'm just like, I don't get it. And there's some courtroom stuff in that, I think. It felt like a cop, if I remember correctly. Detective. Anyway, yeah. So that's that. I guess we're done with the show. We don't have anything else to say, right?
No, I'm tapped out.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We do this every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific. I stream 3 times a week minimum. Tuesdays at noon for Art and Tea. Wednesdays, 8 p.m. for Couch Tomatoes, movie chat. And Wednesday, I do Translators Talk, or Thursday, I do at 5 p.m. Pacific. I do Translators Talk and Nerdy, where we either talk or we're probably going to be playing games this week. We've been kind of on an Overwatch kick, so we'll probably be playing Overwatch tomorrow. But it'll still be Translators Talking Nerdy, because we'll still be talking nerdy at each other. I do play Overwatch on PC, and I know that it's going to be cross-platform soon. So I'm excited for that. I know people who are only on PS, PlayStation. But soon, cross-platform.
Soon!
I mean, I don't know how soon. Next year, I think.
When will now be that?
Soon. On PlayStation? Yeah, we can't play together probably for another year, though, Crackajack. Anyway. So yeah, that's what we do. Do you gonna get back to streaming anytime soon, dude?
Maybe.
There you go.
I mean, I might even do some streaming tomorrow. I haven't decided, but like, I'm not getting much work in this week, so yeah.
I still say you should stream you making those articles because it'd just be fun. You could talk to people and I don't know.
I don't know what I'm talking.
What's that?
I'd just be fucking ranting at them about the annoyances of it all, finding these public domain movies.
That people would enjoy that. Are you kidding me? Just because you aren't interested in it doesn't mean other people aren't, okay? Some people like your rants, dude. But yeah, consider that. Anyway, that's going to do it for us this week. We'll see you next week for another episode of Couch Tomatoes. Probably. I think our new plan is that when we can't do a show because we haven't watched enough movies, we'll just watch a movie with the Amazon group viewing thing. Watch party. That's what I'm looking for.
I'm curious what I'm doing.
Okay. Anyway.
It's making noise, so.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.